Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as usual, let's go over the market, let's go over Tesla, and let's figure out what has happened. As usual, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button. And of course, I have my membership now live. We're actually 50 members strong, which is quite impressive, I must say. It's very nice. Thank you for support, by the way. So if you want to join, of course, there's the link in the description. You can click the join button beside my name. And, these are the posts that I went over today. Today, I think we had like 4 or 5 posts. 1, 2, 3, 4, actually, well, 4.5, we'll say, posts today. Because today was quite a wild day. So we'll go over pretty much more or less what I said and, my thoughts and overall on what has happened today and moving forward. So if you guys enjoy, again, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. Make your own decisions, do your own research. But moving into a Tesla, we'll be actually closing down 0.35% for the day, which of course is a decent and definitely an underperformance compared to the market, and that will be putting us at $168.55. So what does it mean moving forward? Is this bad? Is this good? Is there more rally? Is there less rally? Like, what does it all mean, right? Essentially. So first and foremost, you can see in the 1 hour chart, right? As we start to say, I can even go through what I talked about, because I start from the morning and I kind of make this post throughout the day. We talked about how, after CPI, I personally expected there to be a rally, right? A bit of a pop, right? And that's exactly what we got. We actually got a pop, and we actually went a little bit even higher than this little high right here that we had. And we went all the way as high as pretty much $174.50, right? But then we discussed in this post right here 6 hours ago how, it's having a lot of issues, right? Like how caution should be taken, right? Because we are getting resistance at the same level 2 days ago, which is exactly here. So, and that's more or less exactly what we found. A bit of a bull trap a little bit, right? It did kind of rally a little bit past it, but really couldn't close any meaningful candles above that level, which is extremely important to, take into consideration, of course, right? And because it couldn't, and because it got rejected, that's obviously not the most ideal situation whatsoever. So as that happened, we talked about how, it's having issues closing above 174 and how, this opens up a chance for the downside soon to gap fill this morning at about 169. And that's exactly what happened, right? Right after that, we ended up, actually I'll stay on the 1 hour. We ended up coming right back down to the gap fill. And we actually did get a bit of a bounce initially off of it first, as you can see on this 1 hour candle right here. But unfortunately, it did collapse back under. And we talked about in the membership as well, how, if it goes underneath, that's not ideal. And that's not what you want to be seeing. Right. And then further on, we did talk about, and this is what I'll mainly be talking about before I sneeze. Excuse me. All right. We talked about how essentially what we're forming right now, this rally from this low over here back at the 153-ish is arguably a pretty massive bear flag, right? So that's absolutely one argument you can be making, whether it's from here or whether it's from here. Actually, I guess arguably it could be from here instead. That would make a bit more sense, I think. But regardless, whether you want to put it from here or from here, right? Either way, it's essentially a bear flag that we are forming as of right now. So that's something that you absolutely want to be paying attention to. This is probably the most important thing, in my opinion, that you want to be paying attention to, right? So that's number one, right? So that's obviously a bear flag. Usually plays out in a bearish sense where you have a bounce and you kind of zigzag in between. So you start here, zigzag in between like this, and then you fall back down. It could also just fall from here as well, right? So that's number one, right? Second thing is this move in the morning, we'll do a 30-minute chart, let's say, has essentially created a potential double top. Now, it's not a massive double top. It is a small double top, right? It's like on a smaller time frame, right? So it's not something absolutely crazy concerning, at least not as much as the bear flag is, but it is something to consider. Now, this double top will play out if Tesla ends up closing underneath closing or going underneath, I would say roughly around this 166.6 level, which is another thing that we talked about right over here, right? Where we have the bearish pattern with the double top. And if it closes underneath here, that will be bad, because to me, the way it works more or less is the double top plays out as follows, right? When you have like a rally, you can maybe even argue from here, you have something like this, right? Now, the way usually a double top gets confirmation is, number one, obviously having the double top itself, but to really truly confirm that this pattern will play out, usually you want to break this, like, I don't know, nose, I guess, if you will, or whatever you want to call it, this little section right here, the bottom part of the M, right? If we go below this level, that to me signifies that the double top most likely will be playing out, and that is an important level to defend for the bulls. And we came down, quite close to it, but we ended up setting a nice little hammer candle over here. You can see on the 30-minute, almost on the 1 hour as well. But the point is the fact that we came down, which was pretty much exactly at the level we needed to defend. And on top of that, the lower part of this overall bear flag. And again, we defended it as the bulls, which is great to see. And we got a bit of a pop, which is essentially what we talked about here, where at the bottom of the bear flag, we should get at least some level of a bounce here. And that's exactly what we got as well. So that's the kind of stuff I'll be sharing in the member Discord, right? And it's good to kind of go through it as well, because that's essentially you my thoughts as it's happening. But the point is now, what's next, right? Like, how does this move forward? Well, the point is, if we ever fall out of this bear flag, so essentially pretty much at this point underneath 167 and especially underneath 166.6 roughly, that to me is where Tesla will get quite bearish. So I'll show you one instance of how that can play out. So if assuming, let's just say in theory, we collapse tomorrow, could happen. Tomorrow's PPI day. Let's just say that it happens tomorrow, right? So what can happen is something like this. We can collapse, fall back down somewhere around this level here, which is around that 165-ish level, which is that level that we defended right here. Remember, we got resisted several times and we broke out of it, and that's what caused this rally, right? So we could definitely fall back down finally to that level. But if we do, before we talk about how this level is still a bullish level to bounce from, unfortunately, with the way today's movement happened and what it's set up, I personally don't view it anymore as a bullish thing. In fact, all I view it as just a simple potential temporary bounce spot. So essentially, if we do come down and we fall back, I expect it to bounce from there still. I expect a retest of this bear flag, and then I expect it to go down even further. That's kind of what I expect now. Either we a bottom around here, or we do finally make our way lower and bottom somewhere around here. That's kind of more or less what I personally expect to happen. Assuming we fall down from here, let's say even tomorrow, right? A more closer term collapse from this bear flag. However, with that being said, usually the way bear flags play out is as long as you're within the channel, or in this case inside the actual flag itself, technically it's still very short-term bullish. So as long as we're still within this flag and we don't collapse from it, I'm actually still short-term bullish on Tesla, and I still think that at the very least there's a chance that we maybe even come up to this level one more time, right? This kind of 174 level, or if we break 174, right, which is essentially where we got rejected here, and we can come up to and actually finally break it, then I think we can potentially start making our way up to that 180 level, right? Which is, of course, the level we've been talking about for a while. Now, the fact that we did get rejected here does, in my opinion, lower the chances of this happening and actually seeing that 180. However, it doesn't completely reduce it, and it's still very much in place. So those are the levels I'll be paying attention to, right? Obviously, no one knows for sure if it'll go up or if it'll go down from here, but you want to be paying attention to those levels. Whichever level breaks first will most likely signify that next move. So once again, for more upside, 174, extremely important to close meaningful candles above it. If we do, 180 most likely will be, touched, or at least come into play, or at least relatively close to 180. On the flip side, if we break below, let's say 167 to like 166, something like that, right? That is also extremely important, because if that level breaks, then that's when the bearish thesis really starts playing out, even though I think we'll still get a small little bounce like this, but I think it'll play out something like that, or it'll play out something like this. And then I think from there, regardless, it'll make its way down. So these are the two paths that I overall foresee happening. It's just a matter of which one will play out. Do we just collapse right away and then continue the bearish trend, or do we get one more rally upwards and then continue the bearish trend, right? It's just a matter of which one will play out, but I do believe one of these will play out over time, whether it takes another day, another week, maybe even another month. Who knows for sure? I don't think it'll take longer than a week personally, but you never really know for sure. But that's kind of what I'm thinking as of right now. On top of that, if we go back to the daily, you can see the 21 EMA, we're still getting actually rejected by it as well. And of course, we also have the 100-day moving average pretty much sitting right at the 21 EMA as well. So we're pretty much closing below both of those, which isn't the most ideal situation whatsoever. But on the bright side, we're still above the 10-day moving average. So that's telling me that there is still at least some form of short-term momentum and bullishness. Again, very short-term. Keep in mind, very, very short-term. That is still potentially in play for Tesla. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it as of right now, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if I showed the Bollinger Band, but in case I didn't, we are closing essentially right along the the median white line of the Bollinger Band. So we're pretty much hugging right in the center of it, which unfortunately means that it can go up or down from here. I know it's the infamous saying, but again, the most important thing when you think of it like that is to look at those specific levels we talked about that unlocks the extra potential, whether it's to the upside or even further to the downside. 160, 174 to 167, 66, something like that, right? So that's more or less the main way I am personally looking at it, right? Now that's how it looks like on TSLA. Of course, always nice to take a quick look on TSLQ to get a better idea, maybe just give us a little bit more information, a little bit more insight. And you can see this is essentially forming the complete opposite, right? It's obviously moving its way down while Tesla's moving its way up overall. But with that being said, this is just looking like a simple, nice little bear flag, while TSLA is of course not looking like a nice little bull flag, while TSLA is looking like a bear flag, right? So something like that. So that's just kind of the way I'm seeing it right now, ladies and gentlemen. So you can kind of make it like that, right? So that's the pole, that's the flag, right? So obviously doing the opposite. So But that's the main way I am personally looking at it right now, and what I am currently seeing happen, right? We have, what's it called? The VIX still looking for any form of footing whatsoever. As long as the VIX is below 20 though, the market probably won't collapse just yet. You can see SPY definitely had a bit of a rough day, but ended up, regaining a lot of this strength and momentum. So that's not too bad for SPY. But even though it's kind of going sideways and arguably even potentially going a little bit higher over here, you can see this is ultimately showing, in my opinion, at least a decent amount of weakness, while this is kind of going sideways, if not slightly up. So keep that in mind. That to me spells a little bit of danger signs, not necessarily right now, but potentially, in the short to medium term future, if you will. And a QQQ, of course, looking actually not that bad, in all honesty, showing decent signs of strength as well. But the RSI is still looking weak compared to how the stock, or I guess the index, if you will, is looking as well. So that's essentially what I'm seeing, guys. Let me know what you think down below. Again, don't forget to subscribe to the membership if you would like. It's only $2.99 a month, which in my opinion is not too much at all. And I will be doing these kind of posts throughout the day, so you guys can get this kind of information for yourself in real time as it happens throughout the trading day. But either way, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.